Kelli Wheeler here, author of Don't Forget Your Lunch, Diapers to Diploma Parenting Wisdom. We have our hair done today and we actually have makeup on, all dressed up. This never happens. I don't have anywhere to go. Okay, I decided to read an excerpt today. I decided to choose Fairy Fiasco because I think there are a lot of tooth fairies out there who have probably fallen down on the job. So I think this is a pretty relatable story. So here we go. Fairy Fiasco, Momservation. Preparing for the moment when my kids realize the true meaning behind Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and Kid Rock's lyrics to All Summer Long. First, let me say, thank God it wasn't his first tooth. But I do believe it was the second or possibly third lost tooth in our house when the Tooth Fairy missed her date with Destiny and forgot to show up. And not because the little guy didn't fall asleep fast enough, or because the Tooth Fairy fell asleep during the news, though that was part of it. No, just like all the times the Tooth Fairy took a load of wash to the laundry room, received a phone call, got sidetracked and forgot to return to the task at hand and maybe catch a little Oprah, the Tooth Fairy once again got sidetracked and plain forgot there was one very excited little boy with a tooth waiting in a special little tooth box for the big exchange. Burned forever on my brain like a searing brand L for loser. I will never forget the sad, okay, heartbroken, it still hurts, expression on my son's face as he nudged me awake that morning. With total disillusionment, he quietly asked, "Mama, the Tooth Fairy didn't come last night. How come she didn't come?" My heart sank in my stomach and I silently started cursing the Tooth Fairy that she was fired. I was going to have to cover her blunder for her. First, I assessed the situation. "Did you check everywhere, honey? Under both pillows?" "Yes." "Okay, can't slip back in and hide it in under the other pillow." Second, time for excuses. "Oh, honey, maybe a lot of kids lost teeth yesterday and she had too big of a workload. I bet she'll come tomorrow for sure. Do you think?" My firstborn 5-year-old son nodded in disappointed agreement. Okay, he bought it. But there were unshed tears sparkling in his eyes. God, I could just pummel the Tooth Fairy. Third, buy some time. "You want to go watch a little TV before I make breakfast?" He nodded his head again, then slowly left the room. I waited for the sound of the TV to come on. As soon as he heard it, I jumped out of bed and went to Plan B. I actually just learned of Plan B, Tooth Fairy Division, a few weeks earlier at playgroup when a mom shared her story of the Tooth Fairy falling down on the job. What a ding-dong, I thought. What kind of Tooth Fairy would forget to do the big exchange? I looked in the mirror. Big ding-dong staring back at me. So the plan was to put the dollar inside the pillowcase, explaining that the Tooth Fairy got a little lost. Fourth, shoot, I don't have a buck. Not even 4 quarters. Tiptoeing into my son's room, I actually stole $1 from his piggy bank to put inside the pillowcase. I grabbed a marker and wrote IOU on my hand to remind me to pay him back. Fifth, initiate Operation Restore Faith. I slipped the money inside his pillowcase, but then realized, what about the tooth that was still there? Aha, I got a marker again and a piece of paper and wrote, "Dear Logan, I thought you might want to keep your tooth like the first time, so I left it for you." I even wrote it in big loopy cursive, very fairy-like. I raced back to bed and got in like I had never left. I called my son to come back. I tried to look sleepy and act like I just had a thought as I was laying there. Meryl Streep, eat your heart out. "Hey, honey, did you look inside your pillowcase? I've heard that sometimes the tooth fairy can get a little lost. I didn't, my son said, hopeful. He dashed back to his room. I was beginning to feel redeemed. She came, I heard him shout. And she left a note. He came back in for me to read it. Before I could, though, he asked, but what about the tooth? Well, let's read the note, I said, giving myself bonus points for the addendum to Plan B. So he was happy and the day was saved, but I still had lingering guilt that I had to resort to Plan B. There was still one last thing to do. I called my husband at work. Why didn't you remind me? I accused as soon as he picked up the phone. You can't put this kind of responsibility on a woman you've nicknamed Sidetrack Sally. You didn't even leave me $1. You didn't ask for $1, he sputtered. See what I mean? Honey, what are we talking about? I relayed the whole horrible incident, and he assured me I hadn't scarred our son for life and applauded me on the save. I told him there was an opening for the tooth fairy and encouraged him to take the position. He declined the offer, telling me to give the tooth fairy a second chance. You'll laugh at this someday, he added. And of course, he was right. I have laughed with other moms about it and the lengths that we will go to preserve the traditional joys of childhood. But Santa Claus better skip the news and have 2 alarms set. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget your lunch. Diapers to Diploma Parenting Wisdom is available on Amazon. I'll hope you pick it up. Give me a review if you like it, and maybe I'll see you back here for another excerpt. Thanks. Bye.